guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with the mid-year book freakout tag. This is a tag, I don't even know who created it. I have done it a lot, and so I will go ahead and link my previous years down below. It is the tag that we do at the middle of the year to show what we've been reading, what we've been loving, what we haven't been loving, what we still need to read. Lots of people have already done this. I was waiting as close as I could to mid-year so that I have all the books that I can on my mid-year freakout tag. So I will go ahead and get to the categories because there are 13. So the first question just like jumps right in and asks you what's your favorite book of 2019 so far. And so I have 3. I know, I'm annoying. I do my top 5 of the season. So I will go ahead and link down below my top 5 books of winter, which includes January and February, and then my top 5 books of spring, which is March, April, May. So you guys can see what I have been loving. But the 3 that I have, the first one is The Bride Test by Helen Huang. This one I knew I would love. I gobbled it up in like a day and a half. I don't even know if it was a day. I think it was a day and a half because I was currently working during that time. And I loved it so much. Like, it was so good. So Kai has autism and he feels like he can never love. And so his mom finds a bride for him. And so Esme has to go from Ho Chi Minh City to California, I believe is where they live, and kind of court him and like live with him and see if she can get him to marry her. So it's super, super cute. I love the whole message behind being an immigrant, which is what the author wrote in about her, about the book, like a note from the author thing at the end of the book. So super cute. I love this. I also have Praying for Rain by B.B. Easton. I was thinking what books really stuck with me, what could I not put down. I literally read this in a day on a Sunday on my Kindle. I got an e-arc of it. I like B.B. Easton. I've only read her 44 notes chapters about 44 men. And that book was okay. I gave it 4 stars. But when I read this, it's pre-apocalyptic, so the apocalypse is gonna happen, everybody's freaking out, and it's a romance in the midst of the apocalypse happening. So good. The ending was crazy. I love B.B. Easton as a person. I've gotten to meet her twice now, and she's just so fun and excited about everything. So I need books 2 and 3 to this series now, but it was amazing. And then my last favorite, I talk about this too much, and that is Marriage for One by Ella Mays. This one's super long. I need to get myself a physical copy, but it's $18 on Amazon, which is a little too much right now. Like, I can't justify buying an $18 book when I buy too many books already. So this one is a marriage of convenience novel. So the guy Jack and the girl Rose get married because of something that's happening. Rose owns a coffee shop, and Jack is a lawyer or something. I don't remember what he does, but very slow burn, like very slow burn and very angsty. Jack is just very angry and bitter all the time, and she kind of breaks down his wall. Super cute. So this is one of my favorites as well. Next is the best sequel you've read, and that has to go to The Risk by Al Kennedy. This is book 2 in the Briar U series, and I love this so much more than book 1. I don't know if I gave book 1 a 4 or 5 stars. It was more like a 4.5 star to me. Summer wasn't my absolute favorite, but I did like Fitz in that book. Her name's Brenna. I'm really bad with names. And Jake. Jake actually plays for the rival hockey team, and Brenna's dad is the coach of the Briar team. So definitely a taboo romance, but it was so good. I love this so much. I will say I got this from Al Kennedy at a Polycon, and this was the first run of the paperbacks, and I guess she was having a lot of issues with them, so she didn't even know if she'd have them for the signing or not. And it's not in focus. Like, the font is fuzzy on the back and on the front. Like, you can see the pixelation of the font. So I don't know if they fix that. If you have a later publishing of that book, let me know if you can look at it and let me know if it does still have the pixelation or not. She told me that like the formatting of the spine was like way off too, and it's still a little off on this copy, but it's okay. This one's my signed copy from her. She signed it and personalized it to me. I love this year. The next question is a new release that you haven't gotten to yet this year, and I'm going to go with Violent Delights by Jessica Hawkins. I actually just ordered book 2 as well. You haven't seen that yet. It's in a reading vlog coming up, and unless I've already posted that, I don't know. Check out if I post that reading vlog yet. And it's going to be at a book haul later on, but these are mafia romances. The first 2 are now out, both released this year, I believe, and I haven't gotten to them yet, and I really, really want to. They're not even that long. It's not even 300 pages for this one, and so I really want to read this soon. The next question is your most anticipated releases for the rest of the year, and I have 3 that I actually already own, and they're all Berkeley romance arcs, and they sound amazing. So the first one is Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. This one is a historical romance. I believe she's gotten to Oxford or something. Yes, she's the first female student at Oxford University, one of the first female students, and she has to get a rich, wealthy man to help like the feminist cause or something, and ends up falling for a duke who's very cold, and I guess that's the one she's gonna ask for help. So love historical romances, love this cover. Then, oh, that one comes out in September, and then my next two don't come out for a long time. So the next one's out in October, and that is Faker by Sarah Smith. I think, yep. This one's about a woman who is used to having to fake her confidence because she works in the construction business with it's male dominated, and it's her romance with a guy that I think she hates. So I'm excited for this. Love this cover as well. And then the last one I'm so excited for, it comes out in November, is the Bromance Book Club. I recently got this arc and I'm going to read it soon because it sounds so good. A baseball player is having marriage problems, so he starts a romance book club with his friends to try to salvage his marriage. Can you get any more perfect for a romance reader to love a book and like that cover? He's got a romance in his back pocket. I am obsessed. So I'm excited for these three to read them and for them to come out this year. The next question is the biggest disappointment. So the first one, I don't have a copy of it anymore, and I don't feel like pulling it up on my iPad. That's Sweet Evil by Wendy Higgins. I read it and really hated it. I gave it 2 stars. I didn't understand why everybody liked it. The male protagonist was like not redeeming whatsoever. He was a jerk, and I don't know why our main character even liked him. It was like all about sex for 16-year-olds, and our main character was super naive, and I really didn't like her character. So I really didn't like that book, even though it's super hyped. And the next one is The Boys of Brayshaw High by Megan Brady. Again, something super hyped that I gave 2 stars. And this one, again, I didn't like the characters. They were very one-dimensional. They weren't really fleshed out. It's every like new adult cliche you could have was in this book, and it's like a high school new adult, so it takes place in high school, but they're very new adult contents and themes and characters. And I didn't get the love interest, no plot. Again, some secret underground fighting ring that like no one talks about. I'm tired of underground fighting rings and new adult books. Like, that trope can just stop. I just read another one where he would like show up with bruises and he's always disappearing somewhere and getting weird texts, and she figures out it's an underground fighting ring. Can we like move on from that trope now, please? So disappointed in this one. Next is your biggest surprise, and for me that is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This one I didn't think a lot about because I don't love YA fantasy that much, but this one was a standalone and it was so good. It's about a girl who lives in a magical library. She wants to be a librarian. The stuff happens with the books, and so she has to team up with a magician, sorcerer guy, and there's a romance, and I loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. And it's a standalone. I don't think I've ever read a standalone fantasy that I absolutely loved. All the fantasies I read are in series, so definitely a surprise to me. The next question is a favorite new author you discovered in 2019 so far, and that is Laura Thalassa. This is rhapsodic. I don't know, I always feel weird saying that title. It is a bargainer book, so it is between a fairy, a guy who's a fae, and a siren, and it's so good. And then I also read Pestilence finally, and that is a post-apocalyptic book with a guy called Pestilence who is one of the 4 horsemen whose job it is to destroy humanity, and our main character falls in love with him. It's pretty good. So these are definitely, this is fantasy, and the other one I guess is, I don't even know what category that would be in, post-apocalyptic. They're so good. This one was so good. If you like The Cruel Prince, this is definitely like an adult version of The Cruel Prince, kind of new adult. So good. And this one's still part of a series, so I have to read more of her, and I'm glad I finally got to read 2 books by her. Hopefully I can finally meet her next year at PolyCon. She had to cancel for some medical issues, so hopefully she's there next year. Newest fictional crush to me, I had to have Black Dagger Brotherhood in this video, and that is Manny from Lover Unleashed. I was reading this while I was at a PolyCon, so I read this in March, and I loved Manny's character so much, and I don't even know why. My sister's actually currently on this book right now. She's reading the paperback copies we have because I had all the original books in paperback, mass market, and then I decided to collect the hardback, so I have all of them but like 4 right now. So definitely not gonna ever get the first 2, but this one, I loved Manny. I think I loved him so much because he's so close to Butch, and they kind of have similar backgrounds and personalities, so that's why I love him, because Butch is my favorite too. Next is your new favorite character, and for me that is going to be Quan from The Bride Test. That he is the cousin, I believe, to Kai. I think they're all cousins. Like, I think Kai's cousins with Michael from the first book, from the Kiss Quotient, but he's gonna get the next book. So he's definitely one of my favorite characters. He's just so caring and compassionate, and I loved what he did in this book and how he was willing to sacrifice things for Esme even though he just met her. I really liked him. Next is a book that made you cry, and I only have 2, and I didn't really even like cry. I like teared up. I don't cry a lot in books. The first one's Making Faces by Amy Harmon. This isn't a surprise. Everybody who's read this has cried. It's really sad. The guy's out of the military. He went to the military with his best friends. He's the only one who returns home, and he's disfigured, and so he has a romance with this girl from high school. Very sad. And then this one shocked me was The Shadows by J.R. Ward. It wasn't even about the romance. It was about a family member. It was the 2 brothers, something that happened with them. I was just like, oh my god, and I started tearing up. Oh, it was so good. The ending of this book is really sad. Like, I knew that going in. I went to her release party for The Savior, and I hadn't gotten to this yet. I was only on The King, and everyone was talking about this because Trez and Selena are gonna get a novella in Christmas time. So everyone was all like, oh good, because they deserve a happy ending, and I'm like, excuse me? So, very, very sad. I did tear up in this book. Next is a book that made you happy, and that's going to The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This book just had me smiling and laughing a lot. Wow, my lighting is just like getting ruined by this. So it's this book. I'm gonna put it down. But I had such a blast reading that book. I remember sitting in line to get into a Polycon when I was gonna meet Christina Lauren, and I got to a certain scene and I was laughing hysterically, and then I went to talk to them and I was like, guys, this scene was like hilarious. And then they talked to me about what they'd originally thought they were gonna do in the scene and then how it ended up that way, and I thought that was really funny. And I'd love to be able to talk to them as I was reading it, but it's just so cute, and I was just like, had a goofy grin on my face the whole time I was reading it. Everybody's been reading it this summer, which makes me really happy. It's such a cute, fun enemies to lovers romance, so that's good. The next question is the most beautiful book you bought, and for me, I am gonna go with 2 books that I bought recently, and I haven't even hauled this one yet, but they are the new covers for the Surviving Trace series by Callie Reed. I did talk about this in my vlog when I opened this, but this is the 3rd cover for this book. She has released a new cover with every new release in the series. This is book 3, so this is the 3rd cover, and I'm kind of annoyed with authors changing covers mid-series because then you can't collect the series. That's not my issue with these. Well, kind of, because I have book 2 now, and book 2 in the original book 2 cover, and I want to get the book 2 in the new covers because they are gorgeous, but like I can never have book 1 and 2 match book 3, if that makes sense. Authors have been doing so many new cover releases, and it's kind of annoying, and I get they're like, oh, they want to repackage it and like get more money from it for new readers because maybe it's the cover that's not selling it, but I'm just like, what about us who have the beginning books and then can't match our beginning books? I don't know, but I have these 2. And they're super pretty. I really like them, especially this one. I love the color scheme. And book 2 is really pretty too, so yeah. The last question is books you need to read by the end of the year. I do have my TBR for summer, which I will link down below. Those are all the books that I really want to read this summer. But there are 3 books I'd love to read soon, and the first one's Untouchable by Sam Mariano. I did just buy this when I met her at the signing in Pittsburgh. And I am kind of scared though because I got a couple comments on that book haul that people didn't like this, but I've heard people who have loved it. It's a bully romance. Then I really want to read A Monster in His Eyes by Jam Darauer. This is a mafia romance, and Nicolette from Falling Over Books loves this series, and I found it at Half Price Books, so I need to read this year, definitely. And then I really want to read The Hardest Fall by Ella Mays. This one is by Ella Mays, who wrote Marriage for One, which I absolutely loved, one of my favorite books of the year so far. So this one's a sports romance. Like, how have I not read this yet? I am the sports romance queen. I love sports romance so much. So I need to read this, definitely. And that is my mid-year book freakout tag. Let me know down below your answers to any of these or what your thoughts are, what I've talked about and the books I've talked about. I'd love to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.